A couple of community events are happening. We'll tell you about that. Some information on the River Center might surprise you, but an I-team investigation leads us off. Roll it, Kirk. Riley Kramer is here with a story that caught my attention involving a young woman who is actually incarcerated and had some issues, and Riley had an opportunity to talk with her mother, and it's a really fascinating story that I think you should check out at WAFB.com. Let's talk about that. How did this come to your attention?
So the Louisiana Legislative Auditor, they release audits every week, so they kind of made it easy for me in that sense. But I had some contacts built up that I had kind of kept over the years. When I used to work in Monroe for our sister station there, I gathered some contacts, people, parents, some inmates, some former inmates, some employees of those parish prisons. And basically from there, I saw that this audit was released, and I looked for a 225 number, and I was like, you know what, Mary, it's been a while since I've talked to Mary. Let's check in, let's see how her daughter's doing. And she was willing to talk to me.
Yeah. So her daughter had some addiction issues, and a big part of the story was her mother talking about how little assistance her daughter was getting, and she was concerned that when she got out, she was going to be far worse than when she went in. Can you go into detail about that?
Yeah, so basically, her daughter struggled with addiction from when she was a teenager on, and Mary tried to help her get all the resources she could, but it just didn't work out. She ended up in jail, obviously, and basically she's seeking help for trying to, I guess, like
transition out, right?
Transition out and kind of beat this addiction as well. But unfortunately, there are still drugs within prisons and jails everywhere, so it's kind of more available.
What's the story with the new facility versus the one that the young woman is in now?
So the new facility is DOC completely. That's the LCIW. That'll open in August of this year. It'll provide a couple hundred more spots, but we'll still have about 700 female inmates in local jails that aren't getting, I guess, the proper.
Well, I saw that it's a brand new facility. It's got the gym. It's got an area for inmates who have babies.
Yes.
But I didn't understand why this young woman would not be moving to that facility. She'd be staying at the one she's at now. Was there any reason given?
So usually the ones that go to the DOC facility specifically, they're the ones that have lesser offenses, I guess. So Mary's daughter has a drug offense, so she's going to be staying in local jails because they're less of a threat and they don't need, I guess, as much guidance or reform.
What did you find from the state when you talk to officials involved with this process? Did you get the impression that they're trying to evolve these facilities to accommodate in a better way these ladies, these women who were there?
Honestly, no. It kind of seemed like it was something that no one really knew what to do about it. But the local jails and the sheriff's offices there, they don't have the resources. They don't have the money to be able to provide these classes and everything that they're asking for.
I thought the part where she talked about being, and there's a story you see on the screen where she talked about her daughter and just such raw emotion from her mother, saying that she's concerned about what she's going to be or how she's going to be when she gets out. It's something similar to what we've heard about juveniles and people transitioning out of incarceration who are going to be going back into the general public. From the legislative auditor's standpoint, do you think what was in that report is being addressed, or is it just, hey, this is how bad it is and somebody needs to do something?
I think that the DOC has a lot on their plate, obviously. So this, dealing with this smaller population of women in local jails, 1,100 women, I think. It's a little harder to get to that, especially when there's not as many women offenders. It's harder to fill a classroom or offer a class for these women. And
did you and quickly here, funding? Did it appear that funding was an issue? And if so, how are they addressing it?
So when I spoke with the auditor who did the report, she said that it did seem like they just didn't have the funds, and they get paid every day based on an inmate. It's like $26 a day for every inmate, and whether that's enough or not is kind of the question I tried to ask the Department of Corrections. I haven't heard back on that, but to cover medical costs for people who, I don't know, break a leg or something like random, $26 a day might not cut it. So
it doesn't seem so.
So these sheriff's offices are dealt with the responsibility of
closing the gap.
Yeah.
Well, Riley's story is up right now at WAFB.com. I encourage you to watch it. It is it's pretty jarring to see what's happening at these facilities and the disconnect between the new facility and the one that they're in. It's just it's really crazy. But great job on the story.
Thank you so much.
All right, up next, an inside look at funding for the River Center. Can't wait to share that one with you. And here's the contact information if you're looking to get on the show to talk about something happening in and around the Capital Region. There's your info. Back in just a moment. So there is a very interesting bit of information about the River Center. Some of us still call it the Centralplex. And it deals with funding and staffing at the River Center. Scott, Jess are both here to talk a little bit about that. When was this brought to your attention?
Probably in the fall of last year.
Okay. And what piqued your interest? What was the red flag?
We started hearing things about, local vendors kind of being shut out of the process, kind of playing favorites. That was some of the things that were mentioned. So we started looking into it, and there was some where there was smoke, there was some fire. We found it seems like our local people who are trying to do business with the River Center were being pushed aside, and out of town, out of parish companies were being rewarded. So just started looking into it. With my background in politics, I started talking to some elected officials and found out that there was quite a bit to it.
Take us through the crux of what you found.
So the first thing that we really ran across was the budget. So in 2021, the budget was $300-something thousand. 4 years later, for 2025, it's $1.71 million.
Okay. So what accounts for that?
Well, it could be any number of things. I think they want to claim that it's performance-based, that they've made money, and so they're, entitled to more money. But we haven't so far been able to back up any of that. It doesn't appear like there's a larger backlog of, a waiting list for people to use the facilities. It seems like in fact, actually, we hear more and more people not using the facilities. Just yesterday I was talking to somebody that said that their granddaughter used to do her dance recitals there, and they don't do them there anymore. And we hear that over and over. Now, of course, we have some big concerts here, but a budget shouldn't quadruple or more.
Right.
When I think just empirically, I think people know that the River Center is not really any busier than it used to be. So why are we putting all this money into it?
Do you think something nefarious is involved with what's happening there to quadruple your budget in such a short amount of time? What are your thoughts on what's happening there?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot going on there. The allegations that we've been hearing are being substantiated with the findings.
What are those allegations?
We've been told that the preferred vendor that is out of parish that is being used, it's not a preferred vendor. They're being strong-armed into using this vendor that charges exorbitant fees, and then if the event coordinator in the local area wants to use a local person and they give a little bit of pushback on it, then they're told, okay, get a proposal from them and we'll look at it.
Okay.
So that gets sent over, and then that gets sent to the preferred vendor, so then they can match it, which also includes trade secrets for that company, things, how they do everything. It's a full breakdown.
Yeah.
So it's very unethical for them to be doing that. But then they also, the event will go forward and they get an invoice at the end of it from this preferred vendor that matched the price on the front end, but not on the back end.
Have you spoken to anyone at City Hall about this?
We have. I've spoken with a couple of folks in the mayor's office. Getting some of the public records was a challenge. We've seen this in other areas, like with the city of Central. They actually litigated the matter years ago when it was a private company doing business with a public body. You know, that those communications are public record, and the courts ultimately ruled on that. So we did get the records, but it was a challenge, and we could tell there was some resistance to putting that information out. And just, you know, to be clear on what Jess said, you know, just the idea that private businesses pricing information, I think if you make a proposal to a client and you give that to the client, you're trusting somewhat that client's not going to go and give that information to your competitor.
Right.
And we say out of parish, we're talking about, you know, a company over 150 miles away. From Baton Rouge. Okay. So this is not like a West Baton Rouge company, right, or Livingston or anything. We're talking another corner of the state that's getting the lion's share of the business.
Quickly here, what's the end game?
I think an investigation needs to be done. There's something going on when it comes to, they get incentive bonuses, the management does. The incentive bonuses are based off of quantitative, so they have to hit 95% of what they said they could. And then qualitative, which is client and customer feedback. Now, I go to events there all the time. I've never gotten any survey.
Wow.
And we've actually gotten the results of the surveys from 2023. And for the client side, they only had 20 surveys that were turned in.
Yeah,
14 of them were from the same 2 companies.
We just want more accountability to the locals. That's really what we're looking for.
Wrapping me here, but would you guys keep us posted on what's happening with that?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
My goodness gracious. Well, there you have it. So up next, we'll talk about the kickoff of a new building in Howell Park at Breck. And they'll tell you all about that next. And here's where you can catch the show. It streams at WAFB.com every Friday morning, Friday night, 7 p.m., airing again on Saturday at 3. So, Howell Park on Winborn Avenue has a little something happening in a couple of weeks. The facility that's been there for a little while is about to open. There's a pool there. Katrina and Aishla are here to talk about Late Night Hype, which is the first of a series of these. You just share that with me. So, what's happening on the 13th at Howell Park?
Yeah, so June 13th, we're having our official ribbon cutting event to celebrate Howell Community Park's opening. But we're also putting it right before the kickoff of the Late Night Hype series for the summer. And so last summer we did Late Night Hype series in collaboration with the mayor's office and Empower 225. And it was every other Friday, having untraditional hours, and the focus was on basketball. And so this year, with the park opening and the pool is opening again at Howell Community Park, we moved the series to Howell, and so it'll be untraditional times kicking off on the 13th from 7 to 10, swimming, and then we're going to have community partners out there offering activities. Foam will be there, AmeriHealth Caritas will be there, Boys and Girls Club will be there, the Walls Project, and so it's just an eventful night full of our community stakeholders and just offering a safe place with untraditional times to give the community somewhere to go.
So Aishla is now with the city parish. Hillary's heartbroken that she's no longer in the DA's office. But you know, one of the commitments we've heard out of the mayor's office is giving these kids something to do and investing. And as you know, because of your work with Truce, the summer months can be a problem because kids have so much free time.
Yes.
This is actually a positive that goes against that. Talk about the mayor's office's involvement.
Yes, so of course our mayor's office, public safety is the #1 priority for our mayor president, Sid Edwards. And so this is an opportunity to keep our young people off the streets, give them something engaging to do, but it's also an opportunity to continue to bridge the gap between our office, law enforcement, and the community, which is also important to continue to engage in those particular relationships. And it's also a positive being that Late Night Hype is kicking off in June, as June is National Gun Violence Awareness Month. And so whatever we can do as a community to keep our young people safe, of course keep our young people free and alive, that's what our goals are for the summer.
In your work with Truce, what did you find to be the biggest impact of things like what Katrina and Breck are going to be doing?
I think it's just an opportunity that we found for our young people to feel like there's hope, that there's something to do, that they are engaged in our community, that there are recreational options for them, because we would hear a lot of, there's nothing for us to do. There's nothing for me to do when I get home. There's nothing for me to stay engaged in. And so this is an opportunity, and it's most impactful. And I think also the engagement between law enforcement and the community, those interactions with our law enforcement officers, when they're able to see them without the blue lights flashing, without something traumatic happening, that they're able to have positive and impactful conversations. And I think that has been the most impactful. They are able to meet different leaders in our community just to see that there's more out there.
Katrina, for people who are wondering about being a potential vendor or participating, where should they go? Where can they get more information about that?
Yeah, so you can actually go on BRAC's social media, Facebook. We have an event there. You can look on our website too.
There it is.
There's the flyer. There's a QR code on that flyer, and it's on the website as well, brac.org, on the calendar. And so we're signing up for volunteers if you want to come and be a part of the great events.
Yeah.
As far as vendors, the only thing we ask is you come out with fun activities that are engaging. It's really just a big party. We do line dances that I know you're excited
I'm not going to
about.
have that fan song going on out there.
We specifically have fans and play.
Fun.
So excited about that. I had to say that. And Howell Community Park is a beautiful center. If
It
you
is.
haven't been there, and there's an area for the teens there.
Yes.
It's like their media room with video games and a
Look.
place for them to socialize.
I'm looking forward to it because that's where the Inspiration Center is going to be, Howell Park. I will be out there and I ain't going to have no fan. So just telling you that. Up next, 2 more community events. We'll give you all the details on what's happening. Pedaling for Peace and one of the high schools is celebrating a great weekend. And here's where you can catch the C-Suite. It airs every Monday at WAFB.com. All right, a lot of community events are going on. We are kicking off the summer. Northeast High has their big 2-day event going on, and Stacy and Pam are here to talk about that. So in addition to bringing the alumni chapter together, you're also doing a lot of community work. You told me about some scholarships that y'all are doing. Tell me about that.
Yes, on Tuesday at graduation, we were fortunate enough to give away 3 scholarships to graduating seniors.
Yeah. What about the importance of alumni giving back to the kids behind them at their school, Pam?
It's very important because we go way back through with Cheneyville days. We was Cheneyville High. Then in 1982 we started Northeast High, and they paved the way for all of us to do what they did with us.
What else is happening during the weekend?
Well, on Saturday, we're going to have our alumni picnic.
Yeah.
That's from 12 to 6. And then on Friday night, we're going to have an alumni basketball game. So there are going to be 4 teams there. Yeah. And Pam could elaborate more on that.
It's Northeast Zachary, Glen Oaks, because you couldn't get it right earlier.
No.
Glen Oaks,
Yes.
and Clinton High. Every year we do, this is our second year doing the alumni basketball tournament where the old heads come and play and need to flex out 454 after because everybody can.
Well, you know, I got Steve Atkins off on the side causing trouble. He's big about Glen Oaks and all of that. You know, I love these kind of things when alumni get together, and education is a big conversation in the parish, talking about improving. We have a great school superintendent now. Just give me your perspective on keeping kids engaged with schools now.
I think it's very important to keep them engaged. They need to know that they're back with, alumni that's been there, the community. That's very important to them. They look forward to us showing up at events before football games, feeding them. They had their first parade this year for homecoming.
Really?
Yes, so that was exciting. We have like 2 organizations that also give back that are part of the alumni.
You know, I had Brecken here in the previous segment talking about their event at Howell Park, and I just think during the summer months we have to always find something for our kids to do. So thank you. Really quickly, can anybody just show up at the picnic when y'all barbecue it?
Yes.
I'm asking for a friend. That's not for me. I'm just saying. Can anybody?
We may feed you. We may feed you.
I'm just saying. I'm looking out for you people there. All right. Again, what are the dates?
It is going to be Friday the 30th and Saturday the 31st.
I love it. I love it. And shout out to my boy Atkins, who's offset here talking about Glen Oaks High. Thank you, ladies. Now, next week here in Baton Rouge at Breck Park, there is an event called Pedaling for Peace. It's been going on for the last several years. Councilwoman Tawana Harris is keeping it going. It's actually not just at Breck. It's going to end at Breck. It's going to start at Gus Young. And I've got some people, Emily called me about, what, Tawana's giving out polos now, huh? Okay, cool. I didn't know that. Tell me about Pedaling for Peace.
Pedaling for Peace actually will be starting on Government Street.
Okay, on Government Street, okay.
At Shoppers Value.
Yep.
We've been excited. She was happy to continue what Councilman Cole was doing.
Started,
So we're going to keep it going to have a peaceful summer. Let everyone have a good time. Bring family and friends back together. It's like a big reunion each year.
Tell me, can anybody who wants to come out with a bicycle just show up and ride with y'all?
It's completely open to the public. We want to encourage the community to come out, to participate, and just show the unity that takes place in Baton Rouge.
Well, Marvin, you've been around a long time being a part of community events. This is a really good one. Now, it's going to be hot as fresh biscuits out there, but at least you get your workout in, right?
It's definitely going to be hot, but you get to have a workout and help us with this anti-violence initiative that's been a part of the District 7 fabric for some time. So we just like to come together, bring our partners and collaborators together to show forth peace and unity in the community. And I was talking in a previous segment with Breck, they were telling me, Katrina was telling me that y'all are going to end at Howell Park where they're doing their event that night, right?
Yes.
So how many years has this been?
Will be the 8th year.
The 8th year. So, because I know Cole started this years ago with some of the violence going on. And shout out to Front Yard Bikes. My man's doing such a great job, and it's right on Government Street. I encourage you to, if you're giving money to organizations that do things in the community, cut this man a check because he's a real one. And I like that. Again, Pedaling for Peace. You're gonna ride, and what else? What's it? What? Just bike ride?
No, we're gonna have music. We're gonna have food, fellowship,
a great
time. Yes, we will have
Where's
food.
The food?
At Howell Park.
So the food's gonna be.
Well, no, actually, when we arrive back to Shoppers Value.
Okay, there's gonna be what kind
Government.
of food?
Well, we'll have jambalaya, chicken, and other sides.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I'm asking for somebody else. I'm not asking for me. Just like with the alumni group. Let me help the community find out where the food is. Listen, Pedaling for Peace taking place again on June 13th.
Yes, and if you need a bike, we still have bikes available. You can call the office at 225-389-3182 to reserve a bike.
I love that. I love that. Pedaling for Peace, a great community event. We need to get our kids involved in activities that keep them out of trouble and into something during the summer months. You guys have a great weekend. Next week, we'll feature the C-Suite. And don't forget, June hosts the greatest holiday of the year. Do y'all know what that is? Father's Day. That's right. See you next time.